Hi, welcome to another Fraud Watch webinar. We're really glad that you're here today. I'm Gretchen Batra. I live in the mountains of North Carolina in the western part of the state. And today we're lucky to have Helen Savage. Helen worked for AARP for 30 years, and her passion is consumer protection. I mean, she is truly passionate about that. And she's a Fraud Watch Helpline volunteer. So we're so glad and lucky to have Helen with us today. A couple of things. Let's see, if you have comments or questions, depending on the format you're using, the section to put them in are either in the right of your screen or the bottom of your screen. So kind of figure out, because people use different formats. Okay, Helen. The whole Fraud Watch network, it's made up of a variety of components. Can you tell us what all those various pieces are?
Oh, sure. Fraud Watch Network is a major activity and focus of AARP. There are a variety of types and formats of information that you can get through it. For starters, on their webpage, there are all kinds of tip sheets, dozens of tip sheets on all kinds of subjects. So if you are looking for some do's and don'ts on something like romance scams, online shopping, vacation scams, there's probably about, 80 tip sheets that are available through the Fraud Watch network website. So there's that bit of information. Also, the network does frequent alerts that you can subscribe to. They come every 2 weeks. You don't get an alert every single day, but it's a way to stay on top of what's going on in the fraud world, things to be alert for. There is also a map that you can use to highlight the kind of scam that is going on in your area. There's a map of the country, and you can report a scam. You can post it to the map. And then the other part of it is that there is a helpline that people can call if they have individual questions and want to talk to somebody.
And you, Helen, are you are a Fraud Watch Helpline volunteer. Now, tell us what that entails and how you go about the work.
Well, there is a helpline, a telephone line that people can call toll free. It is a way to post a question, report a scam, or find out what are the next steps I should take if I'm in the middle of a problem. It is part of AARP's call center, and there are staff dedicated at the very beginning of the process to take calls, find out what people are calling about, and then if they want to talk to staff or a trained volunteer, then you get referred to the helpline, and someone will call you back and you can talk about what has happened. Sometimes when I talk to people, it's a matter of coaching them on this is what you do next, or this is how you report this to a law enforcement agency. Sometimes it's listening. A lot of it's listening and giving people a chance to talk about their what they've experienced. We, as trained volunteers and staff, we take really good notes about people's situation, and it is reported in an aggregate way to the Federal Trade Commission, and their Consumer Sentinel database is accessed by, I think it's over 2,000 various law enforcement entities throughout the country. So there is a sharing of the information, but in many cases, we are really trying to get individual consumers to report their situation individually. and to be directly involved in trying to resolve a situation or at least report it.
So, how many calls does the Fraudwatch network get itself?
Well, I think back in May, we heard that they had so far this year gotten over 70,000 calls. Another statistic is between 450 and 500 calls a day go into the helpline.
Right. So thousands. So that's excellent that people are taking an active step, because one of the things that we found out in terms of reporting that only 1 in 44 people report. And as they say, if you don't report, it's as if the fraud has never happened. And the only way we can stop any of this is by reporting. So it's difficult. So for people that report, you get the people referred to you that you call. So you must spend a lot of time doing this each week.
I spend a good bit of time each week. It's interesting. Some calls take 5 minutes. Some calls take an hour. It all depends. And the content of people's calls are all over the place. Recently, so many calls have been about internet scams. Previously, so many calls were about identity theft and romance scams. Sometimes all the calls are about gift cards and gift card scams. So it's very much a mixed bag with what you're going to hear about that day.
So let's talk about internet scams, because during COVID, and as more of us get online, internet scams are just escalating exponentially. And so I'm sure that you've got lots of examples. And what is the FBI, for example, just sent out some data about 2020. What did you find out?
Well, in their report on 2020, they said that they had received 791,000 complaints. And when I read that, I thought, okay, there's how many millions of people in our country? That's not very impressive. Then I read about the losses through internet scams, $4.2 billion. So again, it gets to, Gretchen, what you had just said about consumer crime being underreported. But the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center is the clearinghouse that they have. And that's, where I send consumers all the time to report what happened to them, is Internet Crime Complaint Center, or IC3.gov is a way to report that. In this report for the year 2020, the FBI notes that consumers lost the most money to business focused email scams. So a pretend business is contacting you and trying to get you to do business with them or pay an invoice that's fake or something like that. Second category was romance scams and other kinds of con games. And then the third one is investment fraud.
Let me just go back to the amount of money lost again. It was 4.3 million with an M or billion with a B?
No, it's with a B. 4.2 billion.
Oh boy. Well,
significant.
Okay, so these are statistics, but let's get down to some real life examples that might have happened to you, or again to the people that you talk with through the helpline. So if you got some examples, I'm sure you do.
I do, and I wanted to start off with something that I received just recently. And I thought it was a good example of an everyday kind of occurrence and how easy it would be if you're kind of not primed to look for things to fall for the pitch. So I got two different emails that were supposedly from Norton, internet protection kinds of things. And they were for invoices. They were saying, okay, we've renewed your service, and here are all the things that it'll do for you. And we've billed your credit card for, in one case, it was $237. In one case, it was $367. And, we have renewed your service, and here's what's going to be charged to your auto bill. And then it says, and if you have questions about this, click here or call this number. Okay, so if I am not thinking clearly when I get this, I might think, oh my gosh, oh, okay, it doesn't sound quite right. And that's the tip off that I want people to be really primed for, is to beware of the situation where you get something that is alarming to you and your inclination is, I have to hop right on this. I have to respond because that's not right. In my case, I don't even have Norton. I have a different protection service for my identity and my computer. But your initial reaction might be, well, okay, I'm just going to contact them and set them straight that this isn't right. Yeah. Red flag. Don't do that. Don't click on something that comes to you out of the blue that you think there's a problem with. If you want to follow up with Norton or whoever it is that sent this to you and just clarify that, oh, this is a problem, I do not want to do this, you need to go to the company directly, go to their website, ask them to investigate, ask them to confirm that they did not send that email. But please, please, please don't respond directly to an email like that. Because, and just as a way to compare, I did go online and look at Norton and their packages for protection. The prices for those packages range for a low of about $35 to a high of, I think it's $120. There was nothing that was in the price range of what this scam email was saying they were going to bill me.
My neighbor got one of those emails too, and it's Norton LifeLock. And so anyway, but when you say go online and look for the real company, I found lately that I go online to look for something and I have to kind of scroll down to find the real company because there's a lot of other things that sound somewhat similar. Have you experienced that?
Absolutely, I have, and actually, I have talked to several consumers on Helpline, and I've been a victim of that myself. Where I'm in a hurry, I want to quickly get some information. I Google, whatever it is, I'm looking for, and then sometimes things will pop up and say, oh, this is an ad, but it looks like the company I'm looking for, but it'll say ad. In some cases, my internet protection will say, this is not secure, this is not valid, this is suspected scam. Sometimes that will come up, but not all the time. So scammers are able to, I don't know how they do this, but they're able to position their information so that it pops up first. So what you want to do is you want to be sure that you put in the business name of the company you're searching for and then .com. If that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for a government agency, it would be like NCDOJ, North Carolina Department of Justice .gov. Or if you're looking for a nonprofit, it's .org. Those are kind of the endings, the valid endings for those. But a tip-off would be if you're looking for something and what pops up is a site and it looks like somebody's personal email address, big red flag. That is not the business that you're looking for. The other thing to look for is you want to look for that lock in the address before the HTTP. you want to look for HTTPS colon and then the name of the company. But there are some, there's things to look for in their email address that can alert you to whether you're on a valid site or or maybe you're on a scam site.
Okay, so to be sure that you're on a secure site, it should be HTTPS. The S is the critical thing. And I noticed lately too, some little padlocks.
Yes.
Is that good?
Yes, that's very good. And usually when I see it, it's at the very beginning. It's before the HTTPS starts. It looks, sometimes it's real little and it's a little obscure, but it's like a lock or a padlock.
And to go back to the Norton LifeLock, the one my neighbor got, the email, there were some clues within the email. Like the closing was very unusual. They said something that no business would put in about, well, thank you so much, sweetie, or something like that. And then, just some of the wording. And then also when you go back up to the send. There's something about you put your cursor over that and you can see what the email address from which it came?
Yes, that's correct. And Gretchen, I'm seeing in the chat box that we have a question, but I can't see the question. Oh.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see if we can figure that out. Okay. Oh, somebody just had AT&T a text about a surcharge to the account. Check on the link for reimbursement, and I don't have AARP. AT&T. Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good example of, when you get these things out of the blue, really, number one, take a deep breath. Don't respond immediately. Think, okay, do I have that? For example, I get phone calls all the time from, oh, your car warranty program has expired. We'll help you renew it. Well, you know what? I have never had a car warranty program ever in my life other than what the manufacturer provided. So stop and think, okay, do I even have this? Yeah. So in this case, this person, Henry, was able to identify, okay, you know what, this is a scam because I don't even have AARP. They are not my service provider.
Right. Okay. Let's see. There was another a question that came in, but I only got part of it. It's from Marcella. I don't know if I don't have it all, so I will watch to see if I can get the full question.
Okay. What I can read is what happens if you already call the number. Is my telephone number at risk? And what I would say, Marcella, is, and I don't want to be really alarming to you, but if you've provided your telephone number, if you've provided a piece of personal information or pieces of personal information, my concern about that is that your identity could be at risk. I mean, our identities are at risk all the time. And so my recommendation, Marcella, is that if you did respond, what I would suggest that you do is follow through on some of the steps that we recommend for protecting your identity. There is a really, really good identity theft website that the Federal Trade Commission offers. And their website address is ftc.gov/identity theft. It is step-by-step process of what to do. But the number one thing that I recommend everybody do to protect your identity is to first make sure that you have a fraud alert on your credit reports. And the way that you can do that is the way that you can do that is go to that website that is on the screen for the Federal Trade Commission, and they have all the contact information for how to put either a fraud alert or a security freeze on your credit reports. So one of my concerns when people say, oh, I clicked on the link, or, oh, I responded to somebody's telephone call and I gave some information, is, to think about it as a potential identity theft situation and take the steps to protect yourself.
Yeah, we don't want to scare people. What we're trying to do is
No.
give you the tools to help you take care of yourself. But they're rampant problems. So we really want to alert you to this. Helen, lately I've been getting emails about taking surveys. What about this? Just seems to be a new thing that more prevalent now. What about that?
Well, I really, this is a tough question for me because I love taking surveys. I like opportunities to give my opinion. It is fun for me, but I have come to be very wary and cautious about it, because what it is for a scammer, it is yet another way to engage you, to have you connected with them while they are collecting information about you. And it really opens you up to some risk. So I would be very, very careful. And I'm especially concerned about the ones that say, oh, please take our survey. And if you do, we'll send you a prize. So I'm starting to hear from consumers, and like I talked to one gentleman on the helpline who was very proud of being a stockholder in Home Depot and being a very loyal customer. And he was very proud of that. He was from Georgia. He, understood the origin of Home Depot. He was very proud of that company. So he got something that said, oh, please take a survey. And he thought, okay, I'm supporting a company that I believe in. And it was, we'll give you a prize. So he takes a little 3-question survey, and then they say, okay, we have a prize for you, but you need to pay the shipping and handling. Well, the shipping and handling was $6. So he said, oh, okay, well, the prize was a set of earbuds and a fitness watch. So he thought, oh, well, that sounds kind of nifty, so I'll do it. And it was $6. So then here's how the scammers got him. So he enters his credit card information so he can be billed for the shipping and handling. And then, lo and behold, he gets on his credit card bill a bill not for $6, but for $300. So I really have seen a need to be cautious about, taking surveys, especially if there is a prize offered for doing that. So I urge people to not let your enthusiasm about an activity overtake your sense of investigation about, is this legitimate or is this maybe a scam?
Okay, now another one which is really kind of mind-blowing is this whole thing about extortion or blackmail, saying, I've gotten a couple of them saying that we've tracked your, it starts out really nice, but then it gets into, well, we've tracked your activity on the internet and we see that you're watching lots of pornography, and we're going to tell your employer, your spouse, your church, your whoever. What, have you gotten calls about that? I mean, this is in the last few weeks I've gotten them.
Well, I have received those, and I think that I really want to hone in on this being a tactic of extortion, because sometimes I think folks are not recognizing extortion for what it is. So the bottom line is extortion, the basis of extortion is fear. And it doesn't matter whether it's like the grandparent scam that we've talked about so many times, where somebody calls and they sound like your grandchild and they say, oh, I've been hurt, or I've been mugged, or I've lost my wallet, or stranded, or whatever. And gosh, and I don't want mom and dad to know, and please, grandma, grandpa, please send money so I can get out of my situation. So there's that level of fear. Other things are like for people who are in a romance scam, lots of times the scammers, go from I love you to, you know, please send money so I can come to the US and marry you, or if they balk at that, well, then it's a threat of, well, I'm going to disclose to your family and your friends and your church and your job what you've done, and people will think badly of you and your kids will want to put you in a nursing home. So the extortion is about fear, and whether it's the email you get or the phone call you get that says we're from the Social Security Administration and your Social Security number has been, found associated with illegal activity, and there is a federal marshal on their way to your house to arrest you. That is very, very scary. And then they say, but you can resolve this problem by going to the store and getting gift cards and, which makes no sense whatsoever. But that's kind of where the scammers go with that. So the thing about extortion is that the goal there is to scare you into action. For example, sometimes I've talked to a couple of young people on the helpline who have this form of extortion involves them having sent nude pictures of themselves to someone who is pretending to befriend them and be romantically interested in them and whatnot. And it's a scam. And so they've done that. And then the extortion is, well, we're going to tell your parents, what you've done is illegal. You're going to be arrested. And then, you have to pay me, so I won't do that. So extortion takes many, many forms. But the red flag for me is when a scammer is trying to scare you into taking a specific action that always involves money.
Right. I wanted to mention that to participate or utilize the Fraud Watch Network, you don't have to be a member of AARP. Anybody can use that. So it's available. And if you are a member of AARP, AARP every month or every edition has information about frauds and scams, because this is a major priority of the association. So I think it was in April, they had a whole huge article about boiler rooms. These are where there's a whole lot of scammers, in a room calling people. Just check your magazine and your bulletin, because there's a wealth of information there. Well, Helen, as we wind up, believe it or not, boy, this time goes fast. You want to summarize some of the tips just so people have them at the top of mind?
Yeah, I just want to summarize a few things. Especially if you are somebody who is using a lot of social media. I don't do that, but I'm, in the old school. I'm so old school. And a lot of folks are using social media a lot. And that's one of the things that scammers go to pick up pieces of your identity, and to target their approach to you. So the caution is that if you're on social media a lot, please adjust your settings, your privacy settings, so that you're limiting who can see what you're posting, so that be sure that you're not making what you're posting available to the entire world, to anybody who wants to see it. And it's a pretty straightforward process through whatever social media you're using, that there are there's a settings and privacy spot on their platform, and it's fairly easy to do that. So take care of that. Again, if you get an email or a phone call out of the blue about some problem that you are supposedly involved in, do not click, do not return that call. If you want to check it out further, go directly to the source, whether it's Medicare, whether it's Social Security Administration, whether it's somebody that says we're from your bank and well, there's a problem. Contact your bank directly. Do not rely on that information that's coming from a scammer. And also be careful of websites that can easily be a spoof for a legitimate website. So check the address of it. And if you are getting ready to go shopping, or you're looking to make a car reservation, or you're, whatever you're doing online, be sure that you're on a secure site of the business that you want to be doing business with.
That's just excellent. There's so many good information. Another thing that's just popped up as a new technology is voice cloning. So that, again, back to social media, if you put some kind of a little video on in which you're talking, scammers can get your voice and replicate it, so that when you get a call from somebody and they say that you're in trouble, they're using your voice. So I tell you, they're very creative.
Yeah. Oh, and on voice cloning, one other thing to do is that if you're like me and you still answer your phone, because I do that, even though I know better, I do that. So, but when I get a call and I can't, if I answer it, I'm not on a caller ID phone. When I answer and they say, Helen, I say, who's calling? So what you're trying to avoid doing is saying yes, because sometimes what scammers do is they're recording your responses, and then they can say, when they've, have enough of your information, that they can steal your identity and invade your bank account or whatnot. They have a recording of you supposedly approving the transaction that they've taken.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've covered a lot of information. I'm not quite breathless, but wow. Well, next week we're going to be talking about a topic near and dear, or about a topic we all hate, called robocalls. And you'll be out in the garage, or in the middle of cooking, and then these calls come many times a day. And we'll be having David Kirkman on, who is a retired attorney who worked for the North Carolina Attorney General's office for, I think, about 30 years. And he won one of the biggest cases in the country against robocalls. So come back next week so you can find out more about that, and how scammers use it, and what we can do to help ourselves around that. Helen, it's been a real delight. Thank you so very much. And I hope people learned a lot and are able to apply many of the suggestions that you made. And I think as we get ready to go off, I'm not sure if we have all of those various addresses and phone numbers for. Okay, there's one at the bottom of the screen, so people can report fraud, because remember, only 1 in 44 people report. So we really encourage you to do so. So thank you. I hope the rest of your day goes well, and who knows, we might just see you again before we have too many moons go by. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi.